Hello everyone, Sonia here. Now, I do not know what happened, but I set up a scheduled live event to discuss guilt, and I don't know, the video never started. So here we are. I've set it up now and hopefully it's going to work. So I felt really compelled to do a live video today on a topic that is really prevalent amongst a lot of the people I work with, and I've come to realise it's a really common emotion that a lot of people experience, and I am calling that an emotion because it actually sits on the vibrational frequency scale of emotions, and that is the feeling of guilt. So I want to talk about it because it's really common, like I said, and I've got notes here because I want to cover all my bases here, but it's something that we don't need to be carrying around. And I want to explain something about emotions. So Dr. David Hawkins, in his book, Letting Go, describes how we can now measure the the frequency of every emotion that we experience, and they sit on a scale, and they start down at a very low vibrational frequency of 20, which is shame, and they move all the way up the scale to what's called enlightenment and peace, which are up around the 600 to 700 mark. Now, when we look at the vibrational frequency of emotions, shame is the bottom one, and the second from the bottom is guilt. Then it goes apathy, grief, fear, anger, or pride, desire, anger, and then we move into courage, willingness, reason, acceptance, love, and then we get into even higher vibrational emotions. But guilt is one of these ones that we use as a motivator to do good. So when I'm working with someone who's carrying a lot of guilt, and I say, what do you think would happen if you said no to that situation? What do you think would happen if you set a boundary in place? Or what's your motivator for doing those things for that other person? Or why are you not willing to let go of these past events? And this pervading emotion is guilt. And so then I ask the question, if guilt had a purpose, if it had a benefit for you, if it was there to try and help you on some level, what would that benefit be? And of course, most people sit there and go, well, there's no benefit to feeling guilt. And I go, yeah, but this is what you don't understand. Subconsciously, so not in your conscious brain, but in your subconscious brain, there is a reason to carry this guilt. So what might it be? And 9 out of 10 times, the feeling that comes back when I ask why you're feeling this guilt is because if I stop feeling guilty, then I'll stop caring. Now, I can tell you, and I'm going to come back to that vibrational frequency of emotions right now, I say to the clients, I say to people, so you think you need to feel guilty to do good? And they go, no. I said, but you've just said that your motivator for doing good is guilt, because you think that if you let go of the guilt, you'll no longer have this driver for continuing to want to care for others, continuing want to help others, for continuing to do good things for other people. And yet that is a fundamental flaw in our rationale and our reasoning. And here's why. Because on the vibrational frequency of emotions, guilt, being second from the bottom, is a contracted, low vibe state of being. So even though we think it's an act of love, being pushed by guilt to do something, it's actually very low vibrational state. It's lower than fear, and fear is stress. So if someone is carrying a lot of guilt in their bodies, a lot of guilt on their emotional, in their emotional frequency, that's actually going to have an impact on you physically, like stress does. That can actually have an impact on what symptoms show up in your life. So if you're on this low scale down here and you're trying to do things from an act of love, you're trying to help people because you love them or you care for them, then you can't be in a state of guilt. You can't be in guilt and love and joy at the same time. You can't be in shame and love and guilt at the same time, because they exist on the different levels of the scale. Do you see what I'm saying? So if you carry a lot of guilt and it's your motivator, it's really important to stop and ask yourself, do I need guilt to motivate me to do the right thing? And sometimes the guilt comes from past regrets or things we've done in the past where we wish we could have behaved in a different way, or we're holding on to things we did or didn't say in previous events where if only I'd done that, if I'd done that. So then we spend our life trying to make up for that regret and that guilt that we're feeling, and yet it's not doing you any good, and it's also not doing the people around you any good either, because you're holding on to this low vibrational state. And when you're holding on to a low vibrational state, you are being robbed of your joy. You are being robbed of your happiness. I personally don't experience a lot of guilt anymore because I've learned to overcome it. And the ways that I've learned to overcome it is to rewrite my past experiences in which I was holding on to old beliefs and old stories about myself that may have led me to feel guilty about things from the past. And that is what you've got to start looking to do. You've got to start saying, okay, I did that in the past. I've got to learn to forgive myself. I've got to learn to let go of the guilt that I'm feeling. But we get afraid to let go of the guilt because it becomes such a driver for us. But I'm telling you, hand on heart, that when you're motivated by love to do things for others, when you're motivated by kindness, when you're motivated by a sheer desire to do better for others, that is enough to drive you to keep being a good person. You don't need to feel guilty. So I just really wanted to talk about that and sort of put a frame around that because, really tune into your emotions and what you're feeling and deciding about yourself. And hey, Jimmy, how are you? And see if really there could be a way to help you overcome that guilt. And if you are carrying a lot of guilt from the past, it's a sign that there's healing to be done. It's a sign that there's some time to dig a little bit deeper because you will never affect and create that positive future if you're constantly being motivated by emotions that were created through past experiences. And that's one of the big aspects of the work I do, is helping you let go of all those past stories so you're motivated by sheer presence and joy in the now to do good for your life now and in the future, rather than being dragging along all these old emotions such as guilt to cause you to do things to try and make your future better, because those negative emotions can never create positive ones. You get me? Just always pull it back to that vibrational frequency scale. Always pull it back to, am I in low vibration? Am I in guilt and shame, fear, apathy, grief? Or am I in willingness, courage, joy, acceptance, etc.? Love, gratitude. Always tune into that and use that as your motivator and really explore doing some healing, inner healing work to let go of the guilt. Because I can tell you now, it's robbing you of your joy. It really is. And if I'm to be perfectly honest, no one else really gives a shit why you do what you do. They're not interested in whether you're motivated by guilt or love or joy. So you might as well be motivated by love and joy. Wouldn't that be way better? Hey Shelley, hey Brooke, hey Juzzy. So on that note, love and light. And if you're ready to start rewriting those past programmings, all the current programmings that keep you on that vibrational frequency, you know who to come and see. I'm your girl. Oh yeah. Love and light. Peace out.